All right, so we're going to look at some more slope-intercept. So we were able to create an equation from information in slope-intercept form. And if you remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So that's what we're going to be working with, where m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. And remember, y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. Let me autofocus this. It's a little blurry. So what we're going to look at, the first thing we're going to look at is we're going to actually look at a graph. So I'm given a graph right here, and I need to write an equation in the slope-intercept form. So if we remember, it's y equals mx plus b. So the first thing we always do is we want to try to find our b. And remember, b is where the line crosses the y-axis. So if we remember, this is the y-axis, this is the x. So we're looking to see where this line will hit this axis right here. So if we follow through, it hits right here. So what is that y-intercept? Well, the y-intercept is a value of 0 for x, and the y value is 1, 2, 3, but since we went 3 down, it's at 0, -3. So our b is -3. So with this, in place of b, we're going to put -3. Remember, we don't need the plus sign because we change it to a minus. Then we're going to have our x. Well, now we need to find m. M is our slope. So to find slope, just start at this left point and count up, do our rise, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we rose 4 and we went up 4. So it's a positive 4. And then we're going to go right 2. So our slope is rise 4, run 2, and both are in the positive direction. This is where we need to simplify it. You're not going to do 4 over 2. You actually need to simplify. Well, 4 over 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1, which can also be written as 2. So our slope here is 2. So then we have y equals 2x minus 3. Our y-intercept is -3, and our slope is 2. Okay? So that's how we create an equation based on a graph. Let's do another example here. All right, I got 3 down here, but we're not going to do all 3. We're going to do 2 of them. So let's look at number 1 here. Remember, we need it in the form y equals mx plus b. So the first thing we find is b. Well, b is the y-intercept. So this line crosses the y-axis here. Right there, it's -1. So our b is -1. Now we need to find our slope. Our slope, we start here. Well, we went up 1. Then we ran 1, 2, 3, 4. We ran 4. So our slope, or our m, is 1/4. We throw in the x. Boom. So the equation of this line right here is y equals 1/4 x minus 1. Let's look at number 2. Remember, we're creating an equation in the form of y equals mx plus b. So remember, b, always try to find your y-intercept first. This line, where does it cross this axis? Well, it goes 1, 2, 3. It crosses at a +3, so we would do +3. And now we need to find our slope. Let's start here where we went 1, 2, 3. So we went down 3, so that's a -3. And then we ran 1, 2, 3, 4. So we went right 4. So we have a slope of -3 over 4. Throw in the x. So y equals -3/4 x plus 3. That's how you do it. Find your y-intercept. From there, find your slope. And then just substitute in. In place of m, you put your slope. In place of b, you put your y-intercept. That's how you create an equation in slope-intercept form from a graph. Same thing when we were doing it with equations, when I gave you the slope and I gave you the y-intercept. That's all you're doing is this time you just have to find the slope and y-intercept, and then you just plug them in. All right? The other thing we're going to talk about today, not vertical and horizontal line, we're going to talk about graphing using slope-intercept. So here I have the equation y equals 2x plus 6. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here just because these graphs are super small. All right, we're going to try turning on a light. Does that help? Not really. So remember, this is our m, this is our b. Remember, b is y-intercept. So our y-intercept is a positive 6. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to use my slope. My slope is 2. Well, if we remember, slope is always a rise over a run. So if our slope is 2, well, what's our run? It would just be 1, because all whole numbers are over 1. So we're going to rise 2, 1, 2, and we're going to run 1. They're both positive, so we're going to go in the positive direction. We can do it again. Rise 2, run 1. We now have a line. I just did a big no-no. We need to make sure we're using a straight edge. So here I have a square. Here, this is my straight edge to connect our dots. If you don't have a ruler at your house, use your school ID, use your driver's license, use any type of straight edge you have, okay? If you got a deck of note cards, boom. If you got a deck of playing cards, find something that's straight, all right? Your cell phone, put that down, use that, all right? So that's how we do that. One thing, as you can see, is I extended my line. A lot of you guys, you'll just go and you'll be done. But we need to make sure we extend our lines beyond our points. You need to make sure you have arrows on each end, because the arrows tell us that it goes on forever. All right, let's look at another one. Y equals negative 1/3 x minus 2. Well, this is our b. This is our m. So our b is 2, but it's actually a negative 2. So we're going to go down 2. And then our slope is negative 1/3. So we're going to go down 1. And then we're going to go right 3. 1, 2, 3. The reason we went down is because it's negative. And then the reason we went right is the 3 is positive. So if you see a negative slope, only one of them goes in the negative direction. So like if say I went up 1, then I would go left 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Again, with this, make sure you are using a straight edge to connect your dots. Boom, I got a straight edge. Sorry, you guys got to see the top of my head. And as you can see, I extended and I threw arrows on the end. So this is how you create a line based on an equation. And let's do one more. Y equals 3/5 x. Remember, we need our b and we need our m. Well, there's nothing added on at the end. I have an m, but I don't have a b. Well, we actually do, because we can always add a 0 on the end and it doesn't change. So if you don't have a b, your b is actually 0. So if you see an equation like this, y equals just a number x, your b will be 0. Now we have a slope of 3/5. So rise 1, 2, 3, run 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see, I now have a straight line. All right. I'm gonna be even crazier. Ready? Watch. Look. I'm just using the end of a lotion bottle. There's my straight edge. Again, be creative. Make sure you have a straight edge. Remember, we don't just stop at each point. We need to make sure we extend and draw some arrows. Extend, draw some arrows. So this is how you graph lines when given a formula in slope-intercept. You have your y-intercept. You have your slope. Plot your y-intercept. Use your slope to create other points. Boom, bada bing, you're done. If this didn't make sense, reach out to me. Take ownership in your own learning, right?